So today is going to be a busy day. I'm not going to be going out riding because I've got builders in doing my garage conversion. So I thought today would be a good opportunity to do a debrief on the bikepacking trip we recently did to Scotland and go through some of the stuff that we did that I wasn't able to explain at the time. We're also driving back to London this evening, so I need to pack and get all my bikes clean. So bear with me, I'm competing with the drilling sound outside. On Wednesday, we bike packed to Scotland and it was my first time wild camping. Here's a rundown of some cool things that I discovered for the first time that you also might find interesting if you're thinking about bike packing. Number one, disclaimer, none of this is sponsored stuff. Actually, most of it I borrowed from Emily, and Jimmy bought this first one. So first thing was the Garmin InReach Mini. This is a small device that you will have seen in the first episode of the bikepacking trip, which is basically a satellite tracking device. It's not cheap, and you also have to pay a subscription for it to work. But essentially, when you're in a place which has no phone signal, like we were going, Kiel the Forest, as soon as we got past Wafflemeister, our phones were completely dead. And it's unlikely there's going to be an issue if you're going somewhere even more remote, or you just want the ability to send messages to people back at home, then this proved to be a pretty good way to do it. Jimmy had it set up so it was recording our location at set intervals. We provided our loved ones at home a link and they could see our progress on a map. I think you can specify how long the intervals in between are, so if you're going faster or slower, you might want to adjust those. I'll put an example of what they can see up on the screen here. And then when we reached our bivvying spot in the woods in the evening, he was able to send a message to Emily to let her know that we were okay. As we mentioned in the episode, there's also an SOS button, so if something had happened to Jimmy and I didn't know how to use it, it was worth him pointing that out to me just in case something had happened. You have to hold it down and then, emergency services come running. I think there's beefier versions with longer batteries, but this was the Garmin InReach Mini, so a really cool thing which I'll definitely consider when I'm going to slightly more remote countries. It's the sort of thing we should have had with us in Australia, Vietnam, and the deserts in the USA. Onto the camping gear. This was the sleeping bag I was using. It was 700 grams, which is pretty light for a sleeping bag, made by Best Team. Basically, with all outdoorsy camping stuff, the more you pay, the lighter it gets. So that's essentially what you're paying for. They all come in different sizes, so if you did want to reduce your weight and you are a smaller person, you could go for a smaller size sleeping bag. This one's average for an adult and it's probably more than we needed for the trip. In fact, it was definitely more than we needed because I got way too hot, which made the next bit of kit really useful. Wafathin Alp Kit Bivy Bag. Is Elan the name of the model of the bag? I'll put a link to all of this stuff down below. Basically, this is a fancy bivy bag with a tent section with mesh on it that goes around your head and elevates the bivy from your head. So it's a kind of semi-tent bivy. A normal bivy bag would just be a bag that you kind of zip yourself up and then end up suffocating. So having a bit of extra comfort for not too much extra weight, it was really quick to set up, and when I got rid of the sleeping bag, the extra mesh ventilation stuff meant I could actually get a good night's sleep and keep all the midges and stuff out, which is a huge problem in Scotland. This actually packs down really flat, so I had this at the bottom of my Tailfin aero pack and then the other stuff just on top. The aero pack was pretty much full when I put this, the sleeping bag, and the next item, which is a sleeping mat. These three things are pretty much the staple items for normal bivvying when you're bike packing. This is the smallest item of them all, Hutchinson, 480 grams. It has the main section, which you just blow up with this valve, and then it's got a pillow section, again, blow it up with that valve. Means your head is elevated slightly, much more comfortable. This main section I managed to blow up with 5 full exhalations. I guess how long that takes depends on your lung capacity. Jimmy was saying even if you go with a very, very light one of these, it makes all the difference because all the little stones and stuff on the floor, even if you've got a good spot to bivvy in, it's gonna be a bit hard, there'll be imperfections. A small one of these irons all of that out and you end up having a much better sleep. It literally took us 10 minutes to set all of this stuff up when the light was dwindling at the end of the day. And that was us tired, and it was the first time for me doing it. So that goes to show how easy it is, and it's definitely not worth compromising with emergency bivvies and stuff like that. Just get the good stuff, have as good of a night's sleep as you can, and you're gonna have a much nicer time. So yeah, there's some of the gear in a nutshell. Having now experienced sleeping in a bivvy bag, it only gives me more respect for the guys that do that during races and stuff like what Lachlan Morton did during the tour. I guess things do get easier as you get used to it, but yeah, I definitely need some practice because it was pretty savage. Your fringe looks really cool.
I did that thing again where I did one bit too short, so you have to do everything, and then it just kept getting shorter and shorter, and I was like, oh my god, I'm literally going to end up with no fringe at this point.
I like Daisy with a short fringe. I think you look cool.
Yeah, but I'm scared it's wonky.
Are you excited to drive home?
Nope.
Oh yeah, we keep calling it home. It's not home anymore.
I'm excited to see people, but I wish it was like 2 months later.
You got something in your teeth?
Yeah, I ate some popcorn.
So we're on the road and heading back to London. Me and Daisy are both wearing the same thing, which is a bit weird. I'm gonna flash up some pictures here and update you while I'm in the car on the garage renovation progress. Here's a progression of what happened today. All the slat wall is now on the walls, which is where it's supposed to be. The guys I got to do it worked so hard all day today, trying to get as far as they could with it before we had to shoot down to London. So impressive work. Really does look good as far as I'm concerned. So the slat wall all around the edge is the sort of stuff that they have in shops, and you can basically get loads of fittings that slot into it. So brackets for shelving or hooks or anything you need to mount your tools up, or if I want to put bikes up and that kind of thing. Flooring that is like super thick gym flooring, and then I'm going to have some storage units and workbenches around the edge so I can work on guitar stuff and bike stuff with a couple of work stands in the middle of the room. Lighting in the room is now fully done as well. Those are 5,500 or 5,600 Kelvin tube lights or battens, and I'm going to be able to switch them off independently. So if I'm just working in one area, I can have that illuminated, or if I'm filming stuff and I want certain bits of the room lit up, I can do that too. So I will keep you updated as things go on. It's been a long time in the making, but the guys have done a really good job, so excited to show you the finished article in a few weeks' time.
Did you say make the room litter? Is that what you said?
I don't know. That's not a word. Did I say that?
I'm pretty sure you said that.
It is tempting.